Hey, thanks for clicking on this video. Before we head on, please like, subscribe, comment, share. Give this video to your grandma. Let her really cherish. And don't forget that we have now a Patreon.
Yeah.
Yes.
Revolutionary Rhetoric. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and Patreon. Give us your money and give Palestine some money at Revolutionary Rhetoric. Everywhere you get your socials and Patreon.
All right. Now on to the video.
It's just crazy. And then this is to say nothing of like mandatory minimum sentences that all came out of this era.
California's three-strike law.
Three-strike laws. There's still people serving life sentences for like smoking weed in California while like it's legal for police to just buy weed on their off hours, right? Like weed is legal in California and there's still people serving life sentences. Those haven't been expunged. Those haven't been like taken away or commuted because of since weed became legal. But I mean, that's slave labor. What was the anecdote too about all of the employees that worked at the governor's mansion in Arkansas for Bill Clinton were black prisoners that weren't paid. Yeah, and that was like up until when Bill Clinton was governor. He employed. I use employed. He had slaves at his plantation. This white southerner in Arkansas used slaves at his plantation, and that governor or that white plantation owner was Governor Bill Clinton for future president because because the 13th Amendment abolished slavery except for prisoners.
What the fuck?
So like they outsourced that labor, just like that's so a lot of people use those labors. You can just buy slaves to like work your plantations and stuff, or like work your jobs. Like a lot of labor in this country is supplied by just slave labor still. Like, and that's a whole other conversation that's like much larger. Man. But I just learned that Bill Clinton's the governor's mansion in Arkansas was staffed like his house slaves. He had house slaves and he had field slaves, and like he just had that was like the people that fucking It's just
when was this in like the 80s, the 90s?
Yeah, he won the presidency in 92, so I mean, it would have been late 80s. I mean,
Holy fuck.
Yeah.
That's crucial.
It's fucking insane, dude.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Again, Democrat, by the way, Democrat. So just keep that in mind when you think that Democrats are the good guys. They're the
that was 30 years ago. Don't say it was too far ago. That was a long time ago.
This is I don't want to hear that bullshit like it was a different time. My dude, I was alive. This was in my lifetime. So
crazy.
Yeah, so I don't know. Fucking Democrats suck, dude. Democrats are just as bad, if not worse, than Republicans. And I say if not worse, not to say Republicans are good, but to say that Republicans at least will their evilness is out on display.
Yeah,
you know they're evil, and they'll tell you they're evil.
Democrats
will be just as evil, but they'll lie about it. And so that's why I say Democrats are worse. Yeah.
So it's like imagine you don't like this person. They make it very clear, and you make it very clear to that person that you don't like them back. Mm-hmm. And then there's this person who tries to be your best friend. You can move on amicably, yeah. There's this person that tries to be your friend, you be your best friend, blah, blah, blah. He does this, that, and that. And then he stabs you in the back. And you realize that dude was like the same dude I hated all along. At least that dude told me, and I could stay away from him. And this guy, he literally, slept with my wife or whatever, and, stole my money behind my back and reported me to the police for ridiculous things. So, in a sense, Democrats are worse. Because you're getting scammed on top of, your the ideals that you would like to be implemented into society not being put into place. Oh, wow. Well, I already knew this, but I hope some people start to actually see the reality of things.
Let me get you a quote from Hillary Clinton. You ready for this?
Yeah.
When we moved in, I was told that using prison labor at the governor's mansion was a long-standing tradition which kept costs down. A few of them, African-American men in their 30s who had already served 12 to 18 years of their sentences, referring that most of them were convicted murderers, and she became friendly with a few of them. Despite her, I'm quoting from an article from Newsweek. Despite her alleged friendships with these men, Clinton tells her readers, referring to her book that came out a few years ago, "We enforced rules strictly and sent back to prison any inmate who broke a rule." Despite having no psychological qualifications, she later asserts that these men did not have inferior IQs or an inability to apply apply moral reasoning, but instead they may have been emotional illiterates. So, like, dude, this is Hillary Clinton, the current like moral like the person who's taking.
I read something from like the 1880s.
Yeah, dude, that's like some real fucking racist like white man's burden bullshit. But like yeah, and also not for nothing, but like that's where Sarah Huckabee isn't. That's the current governor of Arkansas there. So like I would not be surprised if Sarah Huckabee, like conservative Republican, is still using slave labor at the governor's mansion of Arkansas.
Dude, what the fuck?
So like,
cool.
I didn't either. I saw this on Instagram a few days ago, and I looked into it, and I was just blown away. I was like, yeah, you know what? This doesn't surprise me, and I would not be surprised 100% if like Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Georgia, Alabama, like other like plantations, basically like the governor's mansions in these southern states, which I'm calling plantations, probably benefit from this. But I mean, this isn't like
what they are.
There's tons of factories, like different corporations in the Midwest and the kind of like the industrial Northeast. They outsource like a lot of their labor because they get contracted prison labor because you can pay them like so many cents per day. So it's like 80 cents a day or something to pay, to like, it's not just like, the cliche, like stamping license plates in a prison. Like they'll actually be bussed to a factory, like a Tyson factory, wrapping chicken or whatever, and then bust back at the end of the day for 80 cents an hour or 80 cents a day or whatever the slave wages are. And so like companies just will buy labor from these prisons, and like if you cannot explain to me that isn't just slavery, which I mean it is. So like yeah, and Tyson, I just used throughout the word Tyson, don't sue me, I'm not saying it was actually you, but I'm saying like there are corporations that just hire slaves for their labor.
Yeah, that's I mean, I'm not surprised at the end of the day, but like at the same time it's like, okay, we can't have physical slaves. We can't hold physical slaves. It's against the law. But then, like, what if we just place this loophole here where, like,
you criminalize everything they do. Find out what they do.
Yeah, what they like.
Criminalize it. Make it a mandatory minimum of like 25 years to life or whatever. There, boom. That's how you get around whole no slavery thing. This whole no slavery rule is a real drag. How can we get slaves back? Oh, this is how. And that was all Joe Biden, not all Joe Biden. That was in large part championed and petitioned by Joe Biden.
And pushed by Joe Biden. Now supposedly a liberal.
Who's now the most liberal president we've ever seen. The guy who's
if he's the most liberal president we've ever seen, I don't want to know about the other ones, dog.
Yeah, and I mean that goes back to the very famous ratchet effect. We've all seen the ratchet effect meme where Republicans shift everything to the right and Democrats stop any block back to the left by saying we got to work with Republicans. And then every election cycle that happens, which is how you get slave labor in these plantations, which is how you get Biden, not Trump, Biden issuing these executive orders, shutting down the borders and stopping any migrants from entering. It's not a surprise how this happens. This is just more and more, evidence to support this rising tide of kind of, neoliberal, neocon merging of just what is essentially converting into just modern day fascism.
Well, but that's just basically that's what happened in the 90s was like that. Bill Clinton called it like that triangulation.
Yeah.
Basically, like instead of moving more left towards more populist movements on the left, we're basically just going to become quote unquote centrists, aka we're just going to become Republicans, and then the Republicans are going to be basically just fucking outright fascists.
Yeah, because they'll move further right to stay the same distance because they don't want to make it seem like they're like close to Democrats. So when Democrats move to the center, Republicans have to keep that distance, so they move farther right, and then Republicans, the center has now moved relative to where it used to be. So now the Democrats move to the center again. Republicans move to the right. Democrats move to the center again, and before you know it, you're both way the fuck over there on the right wing, and actual centrists and actual leftists are way over there. Not to say that we should ally with centrists because fuck centrists, but like. The point is that like the actual center that has long since been passed.
Yeah, the actual center is literally Bernie Sanders. He's a social democrat.
Like on a global scale, Bernie Sanders is a fairly centrist guy in terms of like most policies.
And that's why like a lot of countries look at our political system and they'll be like, "This is a joke. This is your leftist." I'm like, "How is this person a leftist at all? This is our center right."